This is FM91. Welcome to Green Hour as we shine the light on green initiatives. Joining us this morning, founder and CEO of Link Things, Sophia Hasnain. Link Things, the only end-to-end IoT solution provider in Pakistan. Her work has taken her across Asia, Africa and Europe. She got a chance to watch market dynamics and emerging urban markets. Her passion to find high-tech solutions for real business and social challenges led to Linked Things that focuses on solving energy, water, air quality and agri challenges in emerging markets through IoT and big data. Sophia has a BE and MS from NED University and the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, respectively. Sophia Hasnain, welcome to Green Hour.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you. Second time.
Yes,
this is awesome.
I'm very excited.
I'm super excited because now we really sort of get to go in a little deeper.
Exactly.
I wanted to start with absolute bare basics.
Okay.
IoT is Internet of Things. For someone that it doesn't know what Internet of Things is and how it relates to the big picture, how can you break IoT down?
Okay, so Internet of Things is connecting things to the internet. As you know, all of us are connected kind of with each other via internet and social media, right? So you and I could be on same Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and we talk to each other. We know what's happening in your life, what are the events happening in the city. So it's like it has created a community of people who are connected to each other with the same interest or same ideas and all of that. So based on that, the next extension of that idea is how about I connect with the things around me? So not just my family and friends and other people with similar ideas, but like things. That could be your light bulb that you connect with, and you can actually connect it via the internet. So I can also walk to the switchboard and switch it on. That's also a kind of a connection, but connect it via the internet. So I can be, for example, at home, switching lights in my office or vice versa, right? Same with the fans and air conditioners, my stove, my microwave and all that. So all of these things people typically associate with smart home, but that can be extended to smart cities, smart industries, wherever we are, we can connect to the things, start to get data. So the idea is not just to connect and switch them on and off, but there is a lot of data. All of us kind of leave data behind, how you use elevator could be different than I use the elevator, how I push the door. So all of that data, this is my behavioral data that you can actually use to create patterns and also learn from them, how people are using certain things, right? Sometimes, we adjust the doors or the windows in a way that people cannot use them, and then so yeah, you can look at all of this.
Right. So to break it down, so it's like if I'm wearing a smartwatch that measures my blood pressure. So there's a sensor in the smartwatch that measures my blood pressure.
Exactly.
My blood pressure is gone to some, I don't know, cloud or some place in space.
Yes.
And that data is then analyzed by my doctor, for example, who's sitting in his office or her office, and doing the analytics and the analysis and then relaying the information.
Exactly.
Is that a fair?
It's the same thing. Exactly.
Right.
So but typically a few years ago or maybe a few months ago, we used to go to the doctor and say, okay, what is my blood pressure right now? Right?
Yeah.
But what is it during the day? So the data trail of it, when you get up, what is your blood pressure? When you are walking, you're at work, certain things trigger your blood pressure. What is it? It's not definitely your doctor's office that triggers your blood pressure, but it's just things that are happening around it. And you can actually, create a map, what is it that is causing that high blood pressure, for example.
Almost predict that if X happens, then
so if I'm on Khalid Malik show, my heartbeat is
so what you've done now, we're doing is we're expanding on that basic concept. But how did it sort of happen for you? I mean, we will get into smart cities, but I just want to get through, because we didn't get a chance to do this before. But now that we know what the Internet of Things is and how it can be used and how it's dynamic and how we can use it to predict things, perhaps, and map things and so on, and maybe even extrapolate information. But what was it with you and smart cities, and what happened that you thought, well, now, hold on, we need to take this further and build smart cities?
So what is happening in the cities right now is, and it's, right now about 55% of the world populations live in urban centers or urban clusters, right? And there is an increase in that population on everyday basis. Like, there is migration, there's a lot of economic activity in the cities, and the cities are not able to cope, right? So there are governments or the city managers are just like clueless how to manage
so
things.
In a local context, how does that work?
So, like, for example, it's our common experience that when we go, early in the morning, we don't know whether we'll get water to take shower or not, right? So that means that utilities are not provided to the citizens as per their needs, right? Electricity failures, we know that, there are parts of the city that don't have electricity for 8 to 12 hours a day. Then we talk about, for example, well-being of the citizens. So, the air pollution, poor air quality, water quality, then waste management, all of this is not happening. This is like common Karachi experience that, this is not happening. We can blame it on the governments, we can blame it on the, whatever the people who are responsible for all of this, but this is not happening. The same goes for transport. So we don't have, public transport in the city. And all of this is because we don't know how to plan and manage it, right? So the old ways of managing just by being in the office and going through certain papers is not going to help us. So there are, for example, I'll give you another example. A few years ago, I attended a conference on water. So there were 20 people on the stage talking about water problem in Karachi. And you ask them what is the Karachi's total demand on daily basis, and you'll get 20 different figures. Because nobody knows.
Based on what though? Based on different studies?
So there are different studies and estimates.
Fine,
so typically it's estimates. So they say, Karachi looks like maybe Chennai or Mumbai, and in Mumbai people use this much water. So maybe that's but our dynamics are different.
Right.
So.
And so then we're using Internet of Things to give us but an exact figure.
Exact figure. So exactly how much water an individual is using in Karachi. You can do that. How much electricity is being used by individuals. And you can also find out the peak hours of the usage. You can also identify the patterns in it. Like, some households may be using water more at 11 a.m. Or some may be using at night. So you can actually create these kind of patterns, maps, and then serve that population according to their needs. And that all is possible through Internet of Things and big data.
How does one begin? What are some of the check boxes, or what are some of the factors that need to be taken into consideration when building a smart city or looking at smart cities? So you mentioned water earlier on.
So look at what we want to serve, and if you want to serve a citizen, citizen becomes your customer, and what is it that a citizen or your customer needs, right? So as I said, it's well-being, and in well-being comes clean water, clean air, and waste management as well. And these are typical things that we find in Karachi not there, right? So we don't find clean air. And I can like we spoke last time as well, that we have set up a network of air quality monitors. So we know exactly, like now it's been 2 years, and we know exactly what is the pattern of air quality in different areas. So residential versus commercial versus really around the port, around the industrial areas, what is happening, when does air quality peak. So now if you know when does it peak, you can also identify what are the causes, and then the government can go and actually fix that, or the citizens themselves can put pressure on government or find ways of fixing that. As I told you last time as well, that we have found really poor air quality around schools, for example, because we have got this one child per car policy where we go and drop our kids in cars. So that also relates to other problems like or other issues in the city like transport issues. So if we have to address air quality, that means that we have to also address transport problem in the city. If we have more buses, we all have seen those images where one car versus 50 cars versus one bus, and then cycle and all that kind of thing. So make cities more livable, I think. And one solution to one leads to then solution for others and all problems in the city. Similarly, I think transport is a related issue. We all use cars or private transport, and that is adding to actually air pollution.
Yes.
The unburned fuel, we all know, is we use low-grade fuel. We import low-grade fuel in Pakistan. We don't have the right environmental regulations in place on fuel as well, and that unburned fuel is something that we are all inhaling. I think before we did the last show, or around that time, I was in Lahore as well, where we did air quality monitoring, and there are unacceptable levels of carbon monoxide in the air over there as well.
Yes, I remember we spoke about that.
Yeah. So that all is related to the transport problem in the city and the cities as well, and how we burn our fuel. And again, when we solve the transport problem, then we can also look at the water problem and access to clean water. So we all of us in the city have now replaced tap water with all this mineral water, and we are actually spending fortune on getting just clean water to drink. Right? There is no real demand analysis of how much water we need, how actually our water pipelines, what state they are. So with Internet of Things, you can actually find out where the leakages are in your pipeline, where actually you're getting contamination, what is the state of the pipeline itself. So if some of them are old, they've got cracks, some of them have been broken by people, or some of them have been broken by tanker mafia or whatever. So you can actually get all that information in some central office of the city managers, where you can actually say, okay, on Shah FSL, this pipeline is broken. Now I have to go and fix it. And or gutter line is broken, and that needs to be fixed so that contamination doesn't happen.
You touched on transport, and I just want to, because there have been a lot of discussions recently on public transportation, or the lack of, especially with, we had Aurat March yesterday, and even prior, leading up to Aurat March, there's a lot of discussion, there's not enough public transportation for women, and, there's just generally, it's in a horrible state.
Exactly.
So how are you using IoT to provide solutions to the government in terms of public transportation, and is there something in place right now?
So this is not in place right now. Obviously, we don't have smart cities in Pakistan as such, right? But I think what IoT can help you, and with big data, what you can actually get to is finding out the patterns of transportation, where you need to actually build transportation, public transport. We have seen, for example, on Green Line, I've been told as well, and I've seen that as well, that there are a lot more women using that transport, because that just gives them, independence kind of thing, and access to transport, and they can actually go from one place to the other. So we need that kind of transportation systems, right? Yeah.
Sorry, go on. Do you want to add something to that? So we were talking about air quality. Remember last time we met, you also said there were some monitors that were still in place that just didn't work. But they're there. But they're not working. Have they been replaced since we last met? Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And is that information being used by the government as we speak?
So the compliance monitors that the government installs, obviously those are not functional in Karachi or Sindh area, and that information is not being used. And the information that we have collected, unfortunately nobody is actually using it or trying to get any action items, although we develop certain reports or certain insights on those, especially on the traffic and the fuel related impact on air quality. We have done that kind of thing, and we now have 2 years of data where we can actually tell you what is the weather or climate related impact on air quality, what we actually, all of us actually kind of know the problem. It's traffic, or it's the dry weather from September, October onwards to January, February. We know that this is a poor air quality, but what is it actually? What Internet of Things helps you is to actually put a number against it, right? So it's poor air quality, and poor could be different for you than me. It's the same thing with cold water. You like cold water. What temperature are we talking about of cold water? So the same thing is with air quality as well. If we say that it's poor air quality or it's good air quality, then we can actually put a number against it and say that if you are between 0 and 50, you are okay. but 50 to 100 you can still bear it, but beyond 100 it's really poor air quality. So, and it's dangerous. And there have been a lot of studies around that as well, by the doctors here in Karachi, Lahore as well, and especially in Delhi as well, that relate to asthma cases in children, and also talking about, for example, problems in elderly population as well, because of weak lungs and how they actually suffer later in life.
We have a message here from Jatli, I think it's near Gujar Khan. Good morning, Khalid brother. How are you? Good, thanks very much. How can we make our environment clean and green? Okay, by the way, we are residents of a town where the environment is totally lush green and there's no chance of pollution.
Okay, lucky ones.
Gujar Khan.
I would like to invite him to Karachi.
We are moving to your town.
We are moving there.
You can come here. We've touched on a lot of things, and smart cities is a huge undertaking.
Yes.
We've talked about water. We've talked about the monitoring of air. We've also touched on public transportation. But if we sort of extrapolate from transportation, look at traffic and the management of traffic, how can we use IoT to help us with this?
So you can actually install sensors to know how much traffic is flowing in one direction or the other and where they are, and you can actually link all of that with your signal system, so you can actually divert the traffic accordingly. So all this is possible if we want to do it. We all use Google Maps, for example. It tells us which way to take, right? So that kind of information, that kind of artificial intelligence has already been built by Google. It tells you, if you make one wrong turn, it tells you how to go back to the same, right? So that kind of intelligence is already built. What we are actually not using that kind of information for our cities, so we can now, if cities want to go in that direction, they can actually connect that with their signal system. So instead of making signal-free corridors or new roads and broader roads, we can manage our existing traffic using technology, know exactly how much traffic is. It's our common experience, right? But nobody is actually realizing it, like how much traffic is at 1 p.m. on Shah FSL, or 2 p.m. or 9 a.m. or 10 or 6 p.m. in which direction. We all know it, but we are not using that information, which we can also substantiate with more sensors around the pathways or on the roads, and then divert the traffic accordingly.
I remember once we were in Istanbul, and friends of ours, we had to leave the house, and they brought up the I guess were maps, and they were looking at the traffic situation and alternative routes and so on, which we can do also.
Yes.
Through our phones, and with that we can also get traffic updates if there's there's a protest somewhere, or there's something happening, or right.
But I think at city level the action would be different. So as citizens we can take alternate routes, but the city managers, city governments can actually link that with signal systems. Right? Okay. So I can actually open this green for longer than the other side's green, or open that, or divert the traffic. Take totally, you can set up the signal system so that you don't really need policemen telling you which way to go, or Google Maps telling you. You support the citizens who are on the road in their cars to go left or right, or develop an alternate route for them based on the sensors data.
When we talk about traffic management, what seems to be the norm is, well, let's build more overhead passes.
Yes.
Let's build more underpasses. Let's build new highways, because what that'll do is they'll free up the bottlenecks, and we'll have more roads and free-flowing traffic
and more air pollution. So the people talk about this Malik Expressway as well, and it is actually passing through green belt. So the traffic over there is going to actually destroy the air quality, may be harmful for the green belt and the plant vegetation over there.
Now that is underway right now, isn't it? And apparently I've been told, we have Yasir Daria from Daria Labs who's informed me that they're going to release the impact on environment
EIA document.
Right. Today, is that right? And so we're looking at potential destruction of air and the environment around with this particular highway.
Exactly. So instead of solving problem, we are creating more problems.
By building more roads. And,
Yes,
and that
exactly.
is not the solution.
That's not the solution.
So what
And all
would-
is this
yeah.
possible through technology, right?
Yeah.
So all you need to do is connect all these different sensors and setups, and then say, okay, now we can actually serve the citizens, manage the traffic problem. All this is manageable if we want to.
Who then runs it and who oversees what goes on?
Okay, so like any typical digital transformation where we actually have to break all the silos. So right now we have cities are also, the structure is, such that, it's all become unmanageable because we've got someone managing traffic, someone managing transport, someone environment, someone water, and so on. So, and they're not talking to each other.
A lot of hands. Yeah.
So, it has to be, instead of like a lot of vertical organizations, there have to be horizontal organizations. So you have to first of all change the structure, and always, like all kinds of digital transformations, there are reports on it. It has to come down from the top, and everybody has to buy in that, okay, this is what we're going to do. You can actually implement them step by step, use case by use case. You can take, like, for example, if cleanliness or well-being is important, then start with that. Like, okay, well-being, and what are the issues with well-being? So like waste management, access to clean air, access to clean water. If that is prioritized, then you actually have someone who's actually managing it and working out on a plan. I mean, it takes time for the cities and cities of the size, but we have to start it now. Start getting data. Like, for example, again, I will go back to the air quality. I mean, if I had waited for the government to take action and do it, we would still be without any monitor in the city. But now we've got 13 monitors that are taking, readings every second. We know exactly what is happening in the city with respect to the air quality and traffic with that. So these things have to start slowly, gradually, so that we can actually face the situations when by 2050, 70% of the world population would be living in urban centers. Imagine, and then continue to make changes, because the cities are also expanding. You know that Karachi is now almost reaching out to Jamshoro.
Absolutely.
And on the other hand, we are encroaching on the sea. Exactly. And we are encroaching on the sea as well, and trying to build all those fancy islands and all that. But so then all of these things have to be in place so that we can actually serve the citizens better. So going back to the question, who has to do it? The city governments have to do it. They have to take the initiatives. They have to actually break all the silos and look at it. Okay, as a citizen, access to clean facilities or well-being of them is important. Same goes for school and hospital access, transport, and the utilities. Everything, they can tackle issue by issue as well. And all these things are possible. Some cities have already started doing this. So, for example, cities in Europe have taken initiatives, and they are doing things slowly and gradually.
Is there a role model in terms of smart cities?
Not really. I think there isn't any complete smart city. And it is also a tough job, but has to be started somewhere, and we need to start talking about it and start thinking about it right now.
Yeah. What would you like to say to us, and how can we, be upstanding citizens and participate in the cause, as it were?
I think we need to create demand for it. So, we should say that our cities should be smarter. We should all get access to, again, clean water, clean air, utilities, whatever we need, and we will make our lives happier, as I said, is important for us. And we should also be, different channels are available, social media or access to, government through different fora, approaching them, asking for solutions based on technology, because that's going to actually quantify the problem and quantify the solution and impact. So that's the most important thing, and the solutions are available. And the same for the government as well, that they need to start taking smart city concept seriously and start acting on it. I know that they are, they've got a lot of inertia, and by the time, the studies would be available, it'd be 2 years to do the study and 5 years to make a plan or whatever. But this can be expedited. Start small, as I always tell my other customers as well. Start small, see the result, and then replicate it.
Sophia Hasnain, thanks very much for joining us. Where
Pleasure.
can we find you on Instagram and on Facebook, and how do we get in touch with you?
So the best way is my email, Sophia.Hasnain@linked-things.com. That's the safest way. Everything is recorded over there. Then Instagram, I'm on Instagram. You can actually reach out to linked_things on Instagram. Facebook is link-things. LinkedIn is linked things. Twitter is linked things1.
Got it.
Yeah. All different ones. Website is linkthings.ai.
I love it. Where's the link?
Yeah. We're not very good in marketing.
This is FM91's Green Hour every Wednesday. So reminder, we'll be back next Wednesday on Green Hour with special guest journalist Mahir, who has been reporting extensively on urban issues with data. She'll be joining us next week. I cannot wait. Every Wednesday, 10 to 11 a.m. here on FM91 Green Hour. Thank you for joining me, leaving you with some George Ezra. May your news be good news.
FM91 presents Green Hour on Khalid Malik's Morning Jam. Watch the episodes on digital platforms of FM91, News 1 and TV 1.